Kumusta? And right now we're going to be talking about Tagalog pronunciation of the alphabet. So right now I'm going to share my screen with you. Here is the pronunciation guide that the MTC uses. A quick overview of this. Here are the letters, starting with the alphabet, and then some interesting letter combinations we'll talk about in just a second. The middle column is an English word that has the same pronunciation as the letter. And then on the far side, this right column is a Tagalog word example. Now this is not this word in the middle. Like for example, this first word does not mean croissant. It is just an example word with that same letter, with that same pronunciation as is found in the underlined letter. The meanings do not coexist with one another. So let's start in the middle. I'm going to zoom in so we can see this. So we're going to start with the first letter, and the first letter is A. In Tagalog, the vowels are always consistent. A, for example, is always pronounced like the A in croissant. Ah. Always pronounced ah. So the Tagalog word on the far side, how would that be pronounced? That would be pronounced ano. Ano. Always that ah. Always consistent. Never breaks the rules. English is tricky because English has different pronunciations depending on the word and depending on the situation, but Tagalog is always consistent. A is always ah. B is like a typical English B. Most of these letters are very much like the English letters, B being one of them. B is pronounced ba, as in bug. So the word on the far right, how would that be pronounced? Mabuti, buti, mabuti. Perfect. Terrific. All of these letters on the far right, all of these words are pulled from Introductions Part 1. So in this video, we're not going to be talking about the meaning of these words, but rather we're focusing primarily on the pronunciation. A K is very similar to an English K, except in Tagalog, it's more in the back of your throat, like you're trying to clear something out. Cha, 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 cook. That k in the back of your throat. English, it's very ka, but in Tagalog, it's more in your throat. Kumusta, kumusta, kumusta. Terrific. A D is just like a typical English D, so da, dawn. The Tagalog example word would be din, din, that da sound. So very, very straightforward. The I, just like all the other vowels, is always straightforward. E is always as in bed, eh. So the word on the far right, how would that be pronounced? Problema, lema, ema, problema. Awesome. The G in Tagalog is just like an English G, that hard G sound as in egg. So the word on the far right is taga. Remember your open ah sound, and then that typical G, taga, taga. I'm going to pause real quick and talk about where to put the accent. Where is the proper emphasis for Tagalog words? The rule of thumb, 70 to 80% of the time, when in doubt, go with the second to last syllable. So for example, taga, problema, mabuti, ano. It's always the second to last. There are some words, about 20 to 30% of the time, that are on the last syllable, but that's it for Tagalog. It's either the second to last or the last. And the vast majority of the time is on the second to last. So when in doubt, go second to last. Taga, taga. An H is pronounced just like in English. Ha, that ha, heaven sound. So in Tagalog, the word example would be trabajo, trabajo, that H sound. The I in Tagalog is also very consistent. I is always E, as in eat, E. So this word on the far right is derived from Spanish, so it has a J and a C, which aren't found in Tagalog, but it's a Spanish word, so we're going to go with Spanish pronunciation, but the I is just like an English Tagalog I, Jesucristo, Jesucristo. So if a word comes from another language, it follows the pronunciation rules of that language. So this one, it comes from Spanish, and in Spanish they pronounce it Jesucristo. So we're going to follow the same patterns. But it just so happens that the I in Spanish and Tagalog is both E, so we can follow that. Jesucristo, E. The L is similarly like an English L, la, lo, lang, lang. The M is like an English M, money, or the Tagalog word, masaya, masaya. Masaya is the Tagalog word for happy. An N is also like an English N, na, as in the N from no, or the N from the Tagalog word din, so like a typical English N. Now let's talk real quick about this NG sound, which is so unique. An NG is in like this word sing along. Notice how it's not sing along. It's not a heavy G, it's a soft G. Here's the rule of thumb. Whenever there's an N before G, the G is made soft by that N. Sing along. So in the Tagalog word example, it's pangalan. Notice it's not a heavy G. Pangalan. This takes some getting used to and some practicing, but with practice you can get it down. Just remember, the G is soft if there's an N before it. Pangalan. Pangalan. An O is like an English O, but always consistently O, very rounded. O, as in co-worker. O. So the word on the far right, ako, ako. Notice that weird K again. Good reminder of that. Ako, very in your throat. Ako. A P is like an English P, pa, paper. So like the word from earlier, pangalan, pa, that pa sound, pangalan. The R in Tagalog is rolled, but it's not a heavy Spanish roll, ra, but it's called a soft roll or a very quick roll, ra, trabajo, trabajo, trabajo. It's not the end of the world if you can't make that rolled R sound. Trabajo, the English R, trabajo is also understood. You just sound American. Trabajo. So if you need help rolling your R's, we can work on that when we meet. An S is like an English S, song, masaya. So that's very straightforward. T similarly being straightforward. Tap, taga, taga. The U is always pronounced U as in flu. So kumusta, kumusta. The W is similarly wa, wala, and the Y is like an English Y, ya, you, evangelio. That's a bit of a tricky word, but that's the word for gospel in Tagalog. Evangelio, yo, that Y sound, terrific. That's it for the alphabet, A through Y, very, very straightforward. Now we're gonna jump into these weird letter combinations that are found in Tagalog that are kind of counterintuitive for an English speaker, so they're on our list of things to review and go over. First and foremost, AY is like the English word I. So a Tagalog word that we've seen so far, masaya, masaya, I, that I sound, always the I sound. AW is the stub toe noise, ow. AW is ow, ow. So as in the Tagalog word, asawa, asawa. Notice that ow sound blurred within. The EY is pronounced like the English word hey or a. So this word on the far right comes from English and it's baseball, baseball. So that A sound, A, terrific. OY is oi, like we have in English, boy or toy, oi. So the word on the far right is the word for pig or pork, and that's baboy, baboy. IW is the cockroach noise, or ew, very scrunched up nose when you do this one. Ew, aliu, which is the Tagalog word for comfort, aliu, aliu. This next one's very counterintuitive. Whenever you see a DY or a DIY in Tagalog, it's the equivalent of a J. Remember, they do not have a J in Tagalog, so this is how they go about it. If you say DY really fast, dia, dia, ja, it starts to blur into that J sound, so you can kind of see where they're coming from, that ja sound. So this first word, it's pronounced estudiante, jante, estudiante. It's as if we're replacing the DY with a typical J, estudiante. And then the word in the next one is the Tagalog word for God, Diyos, Diyos. It's as if you're replacing DIY with a J, J-O-S, Diyos, Diyos. Don't let that IY throw you off. It's just the J sound, Diyos. SY or SIY is along the same lines. That's the sh sound in Tagalog, SY or SIY. So that first word is misionero, misionero, shonero, that sh sound. And then the one on the far right is he or she in Tagalog, and that's siya. Remember, once again, the IY, don't let it throw you off. It's as if it's just an SH sound. Siya, siya. TS, TY, and TIY are the ch sound in Tagalog. So this first word is the word for China, and it's China, China. Once again, if you say that TS sound or the TIY, it starts to blur into that ch sound, so you can see where they're coming from. China. The middle word is the word for sure, and that's chuck, chuck. And the one on the far right is the word for tummy, and that's chan, chan. Earlier, we talked about NG. The rule of thumb is if an N is before G, it makes the G soft. And that's always the case. If there's a second G, like in this example, that second G is normal. It's a hard G sound. So in the English word that has this is mango, mango. The word on the far right, which also is the Tagalog word for mango, is manga, manga. Notice that heavy G. If there was no heavy G, it would be manga, manga. But there is a second G, so it's manga, manga. All of these so far have been syllables within words. They're found within words. These last two, on the other hand, are standalone words. They're their own words. They're not found within anything, but they're their own words. The first word is pronounced manga, manga, manga. It's a bit counterintuitive. It doesn't follow any pronunciation rules, and that's why it's on our list, because it's a strange one. Manga. So this word these words on the far right would be mga misionero, mga misionero. Mga in Tagalog is the way to make something plural. Misionero is missionary. In English, just say more than one or many missionary. You say missionaries. You put an S. In Tagalog, you put the word mga. Mga misionero, missionaries. And then this last one, remember, if an NG is within a word, it follows that N makes the G soft. But if the NG is by itself, if it's its own standalone word, it's pronounced nung, like the English word tongue, but with an N. Nung, nung. So these words on the far right, this phrase is anak ng Diyos. Anak ng Diyos. Child of God. Nung, by itself, standalone word, is the Tagalog word for of. So child of God. Anak ng Diyos. This is it for Tagalog pronunciation. All you have is the alphabet, A through Y, 20 letters, and then this handful of exceptions to the rules. And that's it for pronunciation. It's very, very helpful to take these and apply them into situations. Use them with the words that you're learning rather than just memorize them straight like this. But that's it. Salamat.